Welcome back to First Take Math. We're going to proceed on in solving some more multi-step equations. Looking at this example, we have 4m minus 4 is equal to 4m. Already something looks suspicious about this equation. Because if I was just looking at it from a scale point of view, I've got a 4m on this side, and I got a 4m on this side. So right there it would be balanced. But this side also has a negative 4, which means how is that going to become balanced? It doesn't seem like that's going to really be possible. So let's play this one out because this really looks a little suspicious to me. So when we look at the problem, one of the steps to solving an equation like this is to get the variable on the same side of the equation. Well, I've got to move these guys to one side or the other. I'm going to go ahead and choose to move this 4m over. But to make a 4m disappear off the side, I have to use a negative 4m. But if I put a negative 4m on this side, to balance it, I have to use a negative 4m over here. And we kind of recognize that these are both zero pairs. So this is going to zero out and give me a negative 4. And this is going to zero out and give me a 0. And so we end up with the problem where we actually can't solve for the letter. The variable disappears out of the problem. When this happens, it's going to be one or two things. This is either going to be a no solution, or this is going to be all numbers. We use no solution if it's a false statement. So if it's a false statement, we're going to use no solution. If it's a true statement, we're going to use all numbers. Well, if we look at this problem, does a negative 4 equal 0? They're not the same number. Negative 4 is 4 below 0, and 0 is where 0 is located at. So we see that this is a false statement. So in this case, this tells me that this is not possible. I'm not going to find the value for x to make this true. Because whatever you pick for x, this side is always going to be 4 less than the other side. It's never going to balance out. So we have sometimes some strange equations that we actually can't even find a solution for. So keep that in mind, that all equations will have an answer. This one would be considered no solution. Looking at question 4, we have p minus 1 equals 5p plus 3p minus 8. Again, in your steps, we always want to simplify each side first. Well, this side can't be simplified, but over here I see that 5p and 3p, that actually can be simplified a little bit. So let's clean that up a little bit. So we have p minus 1, and 5p and 3p would be then 8p. And then we have our minus 8 there. Our next move is to solve for p. P has to be only on one side of the equation. And this is where I pick on the little guy. So between the p and the 8p, I consider the p the smaller guy. So that's the one I want to pick on. To zero him out, I use his 0 pair. Put a negative p there, and put a negative p over here. And therefore, the p's will zero out on this side. I get a negative 1. 8p and lose a p would bring me down to 7p, and the negative 8 comes down. Okay. Now we're down to essentially a two-step equation. We have to get the p by itself. So again, we always focus on the 0 pair part. So we focus on the subtraction part. And what we can do is use adding an 8 to both sides. So when we simplify, a negative 1 and an 8 would give me a 7. The 7p comes down, and a negative 8 and a positive 8 are a 0 pair, so they follow the problem. So if I look at this problem now, it's pretty clear. 7 times what number is 7? We will see a 1. 7 times 1 is 7. So at this point, I probably don't need any more algebra. I could say, well, p is equal to 1. Now, if I need to use algebra, remember, since this is multiplication, if we work towards the p, this tells me to actually divide. So p is going to equal then 7 divided by 7, which would give me 1 if I wanted to use a calculator for that. So my solution here would be 1. And sometimes we use what we call the solution set for that. So we may write it like that, where we have our answer as the solution is 1. So that's going to complete our next examples. Stay tuned for